Okay, well, thanks very much, everybody. Got a
Box mic.
we're going to talk a little bit about AC and what we're doing. If you want to take that, just have a look around. That's just an example of the module that we've actually got running here. Now, this happens to be the monitor module that we're also coming out with, but it's a physical representation. The AC module is exactly the look and feel of this module, the 3600 access point. We have an AC module running over here, and we'll be able to do a demo as well and just show you it working live. And to basically, we've got some slides, but again, we want to be very interactive. I think the key that we want to, and just stealing from what Bob wrapped up with, that AC is another great example of where we're driving forward, and we're not necessarily going to wait for the first client to ship in the market space. We're running in parallel with the clients and actively working on all fronts, whether it's vendors that are local, vendors that are up north, vendors that are around the chips, and different implementations of client types, so that we can get our hands on them as soon as they come out and do the testing and interoperability and we know they're going to be there. So we are counting on a rollout. So just to kind of talk about what we're looking at. So as far as the module, what we've come out with, we've already talked about as well, and here we're showing it live and running, is the Wave 1.11ac, so the first instantiation of .11ac coming out in a module form factor. The physical one you see here, the one that I mentioned, we've got in the bottom of the 3600 already. Early goings, and we're aggressively working on that project to make it available in Q1 calendar 13. That's also something that we've talked about publicly already, and we're continuing to track to that timeline. We do anticipate some early clients being available towards the end of this year. We've been looking at various press that's been announced around Netgear. We're working with our Linksys brothers within Cisco as well, and a variety of different products. If you go to their website, for instance, I know they're about to come out with a media conversion product, which is a 4-port Ethernet to AC product, and then their router as well. So we're looking at these types. We do expect some handset and tablet vendors to be around the holiday time frame. Nothing confirmed, but this is kind of all speculation and working with the chipset guys as well as device guys, and then rolling into the next calendar year. So from a module perspective, you can see it here. It's specific to the AP 3600 for both integrated or external, doesn't matter. They're both made with the modular form factor that you can see on the screen here. It'll be a Wave 1. So what does Wave 1 mean? It's basically the first instantiation and delivery from the chipset vendors, where we're talking about a 1.3 gig PHY rate, the ability of having 256 QAM, up to 80 megahertz wide channels, 20, 40, 80 support, 3 spatial streams, so 1, 2, and 3 spatial streams support. And the module will be, it's a 3x3, so it'll have first of all, it's its own independent 5 gigahertz radio. It's got its own integrated antennas, and it does, so it's not utilizing the ones that are in the AP itself, so it's a completely separate radio. It'll support 1, 2, and 3 spatial streams, as well as the explicit beamforming option that'll be part of the 11AC draft and standard that's moving forward on that part.
So it has a separate radio because it's a separate module.
Correct.
So does it just do AC, and then the existing 5 gig radio does a...
That's how we're going to be bringing it to market. So what we wanted to do is focus it. So both the 5 gigahertz radios will be operating simultaneously and concurrently, if you will, in the sense that they're going to operate on the same channels as each other. So if you had a 20 or a 40 megahertz channel defined for the integrated radio for A&N clients, it'll use the primary and secondary channels of the 40 or 80 megahertz wide channel you've got running on the module itself. So it'll be working in concert with each other. And then what we're going to do is influence clients to come, A&N clients to go into the integrated radio, and then utilize the AC module specifically for AC clients on that part.
Did you say it has integrated antennas?
Correct. Yeah, completely independent on that module. Okay. Yep, that module is a completely independent integrated antennas right there.
So how does that work on your external AP, or does it not plug into the external AP?
Oh, no, it works. It syncs in. So on the bottom here, you'll see on the bottom of the AP flipped over, it syncs down, and the radios themselves are able to get close to the radome itself. So the external antenna on the 3602E they'll get a little bit better range because of the external antennas. But the integrated module will have the same kind of coverage pattern as, let's say, a 3602I. That part.
So if it's in a box, you won't be able to see it.
Excuse me?
If it's in a sealed box, you really won't be able to use it, like in the main enclosure.
No, you'd be able to use it on that part. Well, you're right, that's actually a great question. I hadn't even thought about it on that part, so we'll have to look at that. Now, we did toy with an external antenna version early on, but just the time and aspects to it, but that's an interesting point that we'll take away on that part. Good one. So this is basically at the high point of what it's going to be delivering. We'll have, so the 3600 itself is dual band. We're adding the third radio. The two 5 gigahertz radios will work together, supporting, so you have all the different legacy clients as well supported along with the newer AC clients that are coming on. And then the one thing as well to call out is that we do bump above the 3 AF power with the module. So you go to approximately, it's well under PoE plus. So you can go either PoE plus, or if you've got a Cisco switch that's been shipping since 2008, 2007, that time frame, the enhanced PoE capability you've got there where you can actually configure up to 20 watts on a port that's available. Then it's on the majority of all, I think it's approximately 80% of the access layer switches that we've been shipping since 2008 come with that capability. So you'll be able to actually supply more than enough power down to the AP with the module itself.
Will the explicit beamforming need client support?
Yeah, the anticipation is that the majority of clients, if not all of them, are going to come with that functionality on the AC on the client side. Yeah, but it would, yes.
So do you know that the like the consumer level vendors of the AC chipsets are actually putting that support into the?
It's so yeah, the timing I think is going to be the biggest question of which chipset vendor and which drop of the chips that they've come with. Right. So that'll be something that we'll be looking to
Because I know
test
they're doing the main release in 2 phases, right? So I mean, I would hope that the clients release initially with support.
Chipsets that were announced, maybe Broadcom and some of the others actually supported the explicit beamforming.
You know, I haven't heard anything about client announcements yet. So.
Yeah. So. A lot of it's going to come down to the interoperability and that's why we're tracking with the guys. Now, the chipsets are intended to be there from day one. And then whether it's software driver updated or not is really the key that we're going to be looking at. And that's certainly something that we're actively, it's on the chart and actively looking at as well.
Yeah, any gains we can make for improving the client side is good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on that part, for sure. Yeah.
When do you actually expect to have some metrics as far as performance out of explicit beamforming?
We'd hope to have it before the end of the calendar year, but it's really going to come down to when we can get our hands on some clients. And we've been tracking the one that's been publicly put out there is the A6200 USB one that was due to be shipping from Netgear in August. So we've been tracking that daily to see if it goes beyond coming soon. And then we're also working closely with our Linksys group that once their clients are in a position to start testing us, we're going to start doing that. Okay. But yeah, we're going to be all over those guys as far as clients, and then other chipset vendors, Intel, other folks that are in the process of developing AC functionality. When we can get their products, we're going to be testing with it as well. Okay. So just this is more for information you can get on that we're providing, but pretty straightforward. Just as a comparison perspective, obviously here on the AC column, we're just denoting what's the spec, and I did reference the fact that 2 generations or 2 drops or 2 waves of technology that are coming out. The first one, wave 1, up to 1.3 gig at the PHY level, and then the real question will be, what can we do at the actual throughput level, and that's where we're spending a lot of effort as well. And then wave 2, a whole nother set of chips coming out. A lot of debate around this part of the technology, whether all the chipset vendors, how far do they want to go with the wave 2. In theory, the notion is 4 spatial stream instead of 3, up to 160, whether it's 80 plus 80 or 160 pure, and there's a lot of discussion about whether or not they should or want to do that. And frankly, we're having the same kind of discussions with customers all the time. How far do they want to go? Do they see going? Realistically, we're very focused on 40 and 80 with our customers as well when we engage them and talk to them and when they approach us about it. And then multi-user MIMO, which won't be in the wave 1, but comes in wave 2 with the chipsets. That's really probably the biggest one that we're really, really interested in, intrigued about when it comes to this whole notion of more devices being able to connect, more devices to be able to concurrently being served, the whole density discussion, those types of things. So if I was to rank it, I'd say multi-user is probably the thing that we're most interested in. 4 spatial is always interesting, but then we're not it's way too early to see any clients or devices that would be acting as clients today that may use 4. I could see some popping up in the specialty area potentially where video or mass connection or something like that. But, and then number 3 in the wave 2 would be the wider channels. I'd say at this point we're more than focused on wave 1 going to 80 or 40 and then 80 as well, both concurrently, as well as 20. But that's kind of the thought process there. And then as far as some of the early cases, some of them are pretty straightforward. I think we definitely have a whole class of customer that's been very interested in the whole opportunity around AC, where they look at it as a pure network play. So pretty standard stuff. Hey, I'm going to be revving my network. I'm currently running low. I may not even be on in yet, or I've got very early in, and now I'm looking at my next play, and I'm not really targeting a specific app, but I'm going to go pervasive and upgrade my whole network and bring it. We've got a ton of guys who are very, very much looking at it for large-scale specific apps, manufacturing kind of content, big bandwidth, big file type of stuff, imaging in the medical, the healthcare industry, higher ed where they've got large setups, auditorium, large and increasingly growing larger auditorium setups, libraries, cafeterias where they have a lot of people. There's a whole undercurrent of high density or higher number of devices that I think people are certainly looking at AC to potentially bring to the table as well, and instead of just throughput and capability. So that's not necessarily something that's hard spec as part of AC, but it's definitely a big part of the topic when it comes to higher speed, more users, more devices is a better way to say than more users in that part. Okay, and so that's another aspect as we move forward aggressively in all the different testing is what do we see from the higher throughput? The ability of getting on and off the network faster. Does it truly translate to more devices being able to make use of the AP and the radios faster and more of them in concurrent? So that's another really interesting area and hot area that we're focused on very much in the
Do you
product.
see the initial rollouts as being people wanting to put it into spot uses, say like a radiology lab, instead of doing like a wide deployment across the entire enterprise?
Yeah, I do think that'll be the way, especially given it'll be first generation of the technology, new devices coming out. I'd say it's likely to be where they plan around it, and then they're going to see probably in different industries like higher ed, where they're going to just have, as the products come out, and if the clients start hitting, they're just going to see them coming in their network. And likewise, depending on the type of products that come out, we do expect the whole BYOD thing to keep bringing them into the enterprise. And people are going to try and see if they can use them there, and if not, they'll default back to N, which is fine. But yeah, we do see spot usage, and then more planning. There's definitely a growing number of guys that are looking at it from a pervasive planning. But right now, we've just got a lot of interest from the market space, which has been really cool to see, and just engage. A lot of excitement.
Do you have any insight as far as roaming characteristics moving from an AC environment out of an AC environment to an N environment? And do you foresee 11R impacting or helping that at all?
Nothing at this point. I mean, we haven't really sat down to look at it on this part, I wouldn't see. That's definitely a good discussion topic for where it's not pervasive usage.
Right.
And people moving. So it would be interesting to see again when we get the clients to see how they react, how they act, moving out of there. We don't anticipate, is somewhat of a side note, we don't anticipate any change in the overall coverage between the two technologies, even from a 3 spatial to the first wave 1 of .11 AC. But roaming out, no, we haven't really, we're not in a position to look at it at this point. And then as far as 11R, I'd say, definitely fast roaming is something a lot of people have been interested in. So we'll just have to see as the adoption rate turns up, as clients come out with it, what layer does that bring to the table? I would be very, very candid. I mean, right now, a lot of people are at the most basic building block level of AC in a sense of interest. They really like the notion of the speed, the whole thing, and they're kind of waiting in anticipation of what is the real performance going to be from AC. They know it's going to be times factor, how much times factor, where can I, when are the clients going to be out? And I think that it's like there's an overall comfort level that you can see with the customers. They really are very comfortable with wireless as a real access layer technology, and they're very excited by the opportunity around AC.
No, just extended to you right now.
Okay, so you want to go into the,
Yeah. So we'll do a quick demo now.
yeah, so that was all we wanted to do for slides. Certainly if you have any questions, keep them coming.
Right, so,
No movie time. Just the lights go down.
alright, so, this is the video, this is the client that we have. It's 11 AC client. It has a Broadcom chipset running on it. As you can see, it's downshifted, but this physical speed that's connected right now is at 780 Mbps. And depending on the interference that's there in the air, it goes from 1.3 gigabits to around 700. So it can vary in that range. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to run traffic. So I have an XCA server over here, and we have, we're looking at the spectrum out here. So the primary channel that we're serving is channel 36. And what you're going to see is it occupying the 80 megahertz spectrum. So let me just start with the test. Right, so that's the throughput that we see. It's around 560. And if you look over here, that's the 80 megahertz spectrum that it's occupying on channel 36. So this is duty cycle, right? Because it's utilizing the entire bandwidth, sending as much data as it can. And there was already some traffic generating. Like we've reached up to 700 in a shielded room with zero interference and using MIMO. This is like a real-time scenario, right? So you have MIMO working, but there are so many more devices on the same channel. But we get around 560 out here. So, and you can see the speed over here, it's like upshifted to 877 right now. And it just keeps moving. Right, so this is just a 1 minute. Let me switch to the XCA. So this is the XCA. I have 3 streams. Yeah, so this is the XCA. I have 3 streams over here. Yeah, so that's the thing. Oh, it started again. So, but if you look at throughput, actually let it run for 1 more minute. But we get an average throughput of around 550 Mbps. That's what's seen in this room. Around 700 in a shielded room. So 3 pairs running.
Right, and the other thing too, we were talking about this, like, different chip drops of the things. We're still early, we're still in working in production. We're being very aggressive, and we're real excited by the fact that, now we've been talking about it for a little while. We talked about it recently at a webinar a couple months back. We've got the product up and running. We still got some time. We're pushing through. Like I said, availability is still targeting Q1 of calendar 13. And we're still looking at yet another chip drop to bring things even closer to production chip. So to the actual production quality of the product. So real exciting stuff.
And what? Yeah.
I still gotta come back to that duty cycle. I haven't seen an A, an N, a G, a B, anything peg out duty like that.
At 100. Yeah, I think we've seen something like 80%, right? When we had like video stream tests running on, and it's like 1 AP pumping as much data as it can. But yeah, I mean AC takes much more, I guess. So.
Like the in-frame space or something is short.
Well, it's gone,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Because there's usually some interference space going on.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just to
yeah,
break it.
I don't think, I don't
So
have an
I
answer
don't know
for
the
that one.
spec, but what are they using for diffs or riffs? How much time is they using?
Do you have notes for that?
I don't, actually.
Yeah, even I'm not sure about.
I mean, that
For-
looked like there was
no,
nothing
yeah.
in between.
Yeah, I'm not sure about for this code right now. I mean, it's still in a very nascent stage where this is like the first module that we had, and to get it up and running. But we're gonna get a few more drops. The hardware is gonna change a bit. The software is gonna change a lot. by the time we go into production. But
Yeah, I mean,
It's cool to see.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I don't have an answer for that one on the top of my head, so I can look at it and get back to
No,
you.
we can come back with that.
Exactly.
That's no
The
problem. But it's really
5%,
going, yeah.
550, that was actual, that's like real throughput
That's
from the
actual.
1.3 meg data rate.
Yeah,
1.3
So
gigahertz.
that's the average, right? Over a minute
Right.
that we ran.
And then, we start, and then certainly one of the ongoing, of many different discussions going on is what's the extra tweak we get, right? Like for instance, with ECBF going, how many extra dBi does that bring to the table? What does the B0 or the next generation rev chip come before go to production, the one we're going to use in production? So we keep working on it in that part. Having said that, and early over-the-air testing, it's looking, it looks really good when comparing it. Even at very high speed, 3 spatial stream 11N, it's definitely a step function. You see the same type of behavior when you go at range that you would expect from taking an 11N product. You're just right up here. Whether it's at 40 or 80 or 40, you're seeing the plus function. So it's going to be really noticeable when people get that.
Have you done any testing to see how far you can push 256 qualms in terms of all the reports I've seen said you need to be similar sort of issues, not issues perhaps, but cases as 3 stream where you need to be fairly close to as in you need a fairly strong high signal. That's something you're looking at.
It's pretty similar so far. Still early. I mean, any of the testing we've been doing is really early, but it's like I said, it's got a lot of the same characteristics that you would see with the 11N so far, from what we can see. Similar type of water falling. There's a lot of discussion and investigation on how far we could push that 256 QAM and the higher quality with the modulation, the higher throughput for distance. So some definite trend. So far, it's similar, maybe a little bit better, but we'll be looking at that as well. Continuing to work there.
Right, any more questions?
Do it again.
It's doing it, it's going on. So this is the AP which he's been using on over
And it
here,
has the,
and this has the module connected behind it. So we just turn on the spare module over there. Oops.
I have a question for you.
Those are in our bank.
You were talking about how it was cooperating with the 5 gigahertz radio inside. Was what we were seeing on the screen there that the internal radio was hovering over?
no. So I have the other radio shot. So this one has 3 radios, right? The A, like 2.4, 5, and the AC. So I just have the AC module. That's the only radio that's on right now.
That's the only one that's on?
That's so it doesn't get any help from the 5 gigahertz radio.
So when you actually put this into production, will people normally run that as just a separate 5 gigahertz radio on AC, or will they have both 5 gigahertz radios on?
So you can have both of them on.
The plan is that people will use all 3.
Yeah.
The 2.4, the 5, and the extra 5 in the module.
So would the N radio be run on a different channel to the AC radio?
No, that's what we were saying actually before. Like here in the example, we had 36, 44, 40, 44, and 48.
Yeah.
So let's say you had a 40 megahertz configured on the actual ANN. That would run on 36 and 40. We're going to have them working
In tandem?
kind of in tandem, exactly, so that you have it like that.
So you just have the intelligence built into it?
Yeah,
So that
and
they
the
both
AC radio
cooperate
kind
with
of
each other?
coexists with the 11N in the sense that even for like RTS, CTS, right? That's on the Mac layer. That's the only enhancement that they have. And what they do is they do RTS, CTS for 20 megahertz, 40, and then 80. And whatever has like the least noise, it just downshifts to 40. Or if the channel is clear enough, it's going to upshift to 80 and use the entire spectrum.
Okay.
So it can coexist on all these. So it's either 20, 40, or 80 megahertz.
Right. So the thought, and the other part to your question was we'll be doing what we call some steering behavior, where we'll be coaxing the A and the N guys to the integrated radio, and then we'll have the AC. We want to dedicate that module.
So if you had a
to the AC
mixture
guys.
of devices of like both specs, they would be able to function quite
Exactly.
well on 5
Yeah,
gigahertz?
exactly. Oh yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Full cooperation, no problem there.